Welcome back to the channel, everybody. High Mileage Rider here and Son, and we are going to start the disassembly of the 1972 RT1-360 Enduro. So we just ran it around the block to warm up the oil, and the first thing we're going to do is an oil change. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Let's turn this camera around and we can watch Justin work. Okay, so now that we've warmed up the oil, we are now going to change the oil yet again. And this will be the good oil that will stay in the motor for a while. So Justin is just loosening the bolt on the bottom. And it was an 11/16 socket that we used. And again, this is an American bike, not a metric bike. There we go, there's the oil. And you can see, looks pretty clean because we changed it once already, or I changed it once before Justin got started, just to make sure we had clean oil when we fired up the bike. Now this only holds a liter of oil, so not very much. So I'm going to get Justin to stand the bike up, which will help it to drain. Yeah. There we go. Just keep holding. Yeah, just go side to side. Then we're going to put the new crush washer on the drain plug, screw it back in, put more oil in, measure on the dipstick, and then once we've done that, we are ready to start disassembly of the bike. Okay, so we've got all the oil drained, and we noticed, I will show you the drain plug, that black part there is the crush washer, which has disintegrated because it's actually like a fabric cork type material. So Justin's just going to scrape that off, put it in the same little bin with the oil, unless he drops it in there and then has to clean it off again. Oopsie. You might even be able to scrub off that old crush washer with the cloth.
Yeah.
Might just wipe off. If not, then use that flathead screwdriver. So we'll be right back as soon as we have that all scraped off. Okay, so now that we have the old crush washer off and the drain plug is clean, we're going to put on this new one. Let's see if you can see the part number there. It's a gasket drain plug. And as I said, it's like a felt cardboard type material. So Justin will put this on. If I can get it out of the package. There we go. Whoops. And you may have to turn it in a circle in order to get it to go on. You seat it all the way to the bottom. Okay, and now we're just going to screw it back into the bottom of the engine where we took it off. And then we'll tighten the bolt back up. Now there is not a torque spec listed in the Haynes manual for this, so I'll just tell Justin what I tell myself. That's good. You want it a quarter turn more than full. Okay, so now that the drain plug's in, we're ready to put the oil in, and I'll just show you the oil we're using. It is the Bel Ray gear oil. All these products were bought at Yamaha, Riverside Yamaha. So this is an SAE 80 transmission oil specifically meant for two-stroke motors. Riverside Motorsports, $23.99 Canadian. So it takes a liter, but we're going to put about 800 in and then we'll measure. So once Justin takes this cap out, he will use our cloth to wipe off the dipstick. Put it to the side on our blue cloth there. Now wipe off around there, Justin, just to clean that up. Perfect. So the funnel goes in. And we'll start out with 800 mils and then we'll measure. And of course, always remember that you need to put the drain plug in first. So the reason we're putting oil back into this motor is we are not going to be cracking the motor open. So we're fine to put the new oil in and let it sit there.
Yeah, it's about 800.
Okay, so now when you pull the funnel out, you wipe the bottom because oil will drip. And then you just put it on the cardboard, on the blue cap. Put the dipstick in.
Want me to twist it?
Yeah, so twist it in. Careful you don't cross thread it. And then untwist it. And then pull your cloth out so you have it underneath it when you pull it out. Don't wipe it right away. We want to see that dipstick. So we are... To me, that looks good. So what we're going to do is wipe it, put it back in again. This time we're not going to twist it in. I just want to compare for my own interest. Now pull it out. Get your cloth. Yeah, that looks full. It's just at that top ring, so I think we're good there. And we'll be right back. Okay, so now that we have the oil changed, we'll start with our disassembly. And the first thing we're going to do is take off the seat and then the tank. So the seat is held in place by a pin that goes this way, and it has a cotter pin on the end. And then there's two 10mm bolts that fit onto the seat. So the easiest way to take this apart is to undo these two bolts, those two bolts at the front. You could pull the seat off, and then we'll pull the cotter pins and push those pins out. Now there's not enough room to get a socket in here, so you'll need to use a 10mm wrench. And I think it's interesting that a 10mm is what you use on this one. We had to use an 11/16 socket to undo the drain bolt.
I can just bend this metal thing.
Okay, so the seat is off. And now we're going to take these latches off. As you can see, there's a cotter pin here that Justin's going to bend off. We'll try not to break them, but chances are they're so old and rusty that they may break. And if that's the case, we're just going to replace them. There we go. And it is very handy to have little foam bowls to put your parts in. I think you have to straighten that one a little more to push it, or you could push it rather than pull it. There we go. So now we're just going to reattach these brackets back onto the bottom of the seat with the pins in them, with the cotter pins, so we don't lose any of the pieces. And we'll be right back. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is take off the tank. The tank has a U shape at the front that just sits over the frame, but there are 2 bolts at the back here that hold it in place. These ones right here. Oops, sorry, my finger's in the way. But when you do that, the pepcock through this tube is attached to the carburetor. So we're going to pull that tube off, loosen that little clamp, and we're going to start to drain the tank first. So we'll put this back here. Try not to get in the way of the video so you can see. I'm not going to win any awards for editing here. Oops, there we go. Okay, go ahead, Justin.
We have to dump it into.
We are going to dump it into this. And these tubes are very old and cracked, and they're all going to get replaced. But we're going to try to do this without destroying them if we can. Okay. So now it won't start draining until we open up the pepcock valve. So we're going to turn it to reserve. And now the gas is draining. So as soon as we have this all drained, we'll be right back. Okay, so we now have all of the gas out of the tank, and we are now going to undo that bolt right there, and we'll take the tank off. Go ahead, Justy. It is also a 10 millimeter. Did you look on the other side, Justin? Is it a is there a nut on the other side, or is it just screwing into something threaded?
Just the,
yeah. Okay, so the bolt is out. Put it in our little bin. Now, feel the back. Is it loose and easy to pull? Let's move the handlebar here. All right. So you should be able to lift the tank up. Hang on, let me come to the other side. Oops. Hang on a second here. No, it'll just fit firmly over that front breastbone. But look underneath. Let's look underneath and see what else there is. Shouldn't be anything. It should just be the tank lifting off. There'll be wires. The throttle cable will run under there. The clutch cable will run under there. And the wiring going to the back of the bike for the lights. So this you should be able to grab there and just wiggle it side to side, and it should lift off. Yeah, keep lifting. There we go. Lift the back up as you pull backwards. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Just gentle, because the wires are being held there as well. There we go. Oh, and that little rubber stopper, holds it in place. Yep. There we go. The tank is off. So there is if you flip it over, Justin, let's show everybody. There's a rubber stopper that fits on either side that squeezes down over the backbone, and those little rubber stoppers go into each of the sides here. So Justin's going to put that in our little bin. And we now have the tank off. And we will also give it a good clean. So here you can see where we've got our solenoid and our relay switch for the limited electrical there is. So we'll have to test all this to make sure it works, because we do have a headlight. We do not have a rear brake light, which we will diagnose. And of course the signals are not on the bike. We'll have to put those on. So for today, I think that's going to be about it, because we got some other stuff to do. We'll be back in part 2 which will involve taking off the exhaust, taking off the kickstart, taking off the shifter on the other side, and then we are going to take the motor out, with the carburetor, and we'll look at cleaning all of that. So, as always, if you like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit that notification bell so YouTube will let you know when we have more videos coming out. And until then, remember to keep your right hand cranked, the rubber side down, and try and find a project bike for you and your kids to work on.